I'm so nervous making this. So, first off, I am Lauren Fernandez. I live in North Carolina. I am a military wife. I have 2 kids. I've been married for almost 3 years now. This is just going to be a story of my life, where we started, how we've gotten over certain things, how we've overcome situations, and just hopefully someone can relate to my story and maybe find peace with theirs. So first off, I met my husband, Alexis, when we were 15. We lived in Okinawa, Japan at the time. Our fathers are both in the Marine Corps, and we got stationed in Japan about 3 weeks apart. It was crazy how things worked out, because the first day of school I walked into the wrong math class, but as fate would have it, Alexis ended up being overcrowded in his math class, so he got transferred to my proper one. So that's how we met, and then later on that day we ended up being in the same homeroom, study hall class, the last class of the day. So it started off as a friendship. You know, he was very goofy. He was from California. I had just moved from Virginia. We were 2 completely different people. It was just, he was obsessed with making funny pictures, and he was on Facebook, and he was more social than I was, and it was very hard to get to know him and get to talk to him. But after a few weeks, we started to talk here and there more and more, and we ended up having like a joke telling group in study hall one day. And I just remember he said something so funny, and it was just like, that's it. That's who I'm gonna marry. And I texted him later that night, I think, and we just started talking from there and realized that we wanted a relationship and we wanted to try and make it work. And a lot of people were shocked, I think, because there was another girl who was interested in him. So all of her friends kind of, I don't want to say were mean, but they definitely weren't happy at the fact that I knew that she liked him, but just didn't care. Hi. No, not right now. Later, and then, so fast forward a few months, we are having a great time. We go on dates. My mom drives us everywhere, because you're not allowed to drive off base in Japan until you're 18. So until then, my mom drove us around, and we had fun, and we just did normal boyfriend-girlfriend stuff. We went to the SeaWorld, we went to the beach, dinners, you know, all that stuff. And then come about a year of us dating, I start to feel different. I don't feel like myself. I am just lightheaded all the time. I'm tired. I'm overeating. I'm not eating enough. I was just different. So I start to realize I'm pregnant. So I go and I ask one of my really close friends to buy me a pregnancy test, and she does, because she's amazing. And I took the test and it was negative. So I was like, okay, it's negative. We're good. We're in the clear. A few weeks go by and I'm still feeling the exact same. There's no change in how I'm feeling. If anything, it's gotten worse. I'm just at the point where I don't even want to get out of bed. I'm sleeping in school. I wasn't doing well, and it was just, I couldn't get it out of my brain that I was pregnant. And I took another test and it was still negative. So I'm like, okay, 2 negative tests, it has to be negative. There's no way that I can get 2 negative tests and be pregnant. So a few more weeks go by, and at this point, Alexis is now living with me due to some things that happened at his house. That's beside the point. But he is now living with me, and I am getting out of the shower, and as I'm getting out of the shower, I just am overwhelmed with feeling so dizzy and just disoriented. And I make it to my bedroom, which is literally 5 feet away, and I just collapse. I fainted, I fell to the floor, and I threw up all over my rug. At this point, I was like, I am pregnant. I know it for a fact. This is not like me. I am not one to throw up and faint and get sick and feel like this. So finally, I took another test and it was positive. It was very it took me back a little bit. I'm sitting in my bathroom. My entire family is downstairs. No one knows that I've been feeling like this. I haven't voiced it to anyone besides my close friend. And I'm just, what am I going to do? I don't know. So I told my mother-in-law first, who was actually pregnant at the time. We actually ended up having our daughters a day apart. I told her first because I knew she was pregnant and I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how my mom was going to react. And it was just very scared. I didn't know how to handle the situation. I didn't know how to feel. My husband, my boyfriend at the time, he thought the test was negative. He didn't understand how to read it, so I had to explain it to him, which kind of lessened the moment of, that dramatic, like, I'm pregnant, what are we gonna do? But later, my mother-in-law told me I needed to tell my mom. First things first, I need to tell my mom. So instead of voicing it to her, I texted her from our kitchen, and she was in the living room, and we have a window in the door. So I texted her, I'm pregnant with a period. That was it. Just, I'm pregnant. And I watched her reaction from the window to see if she was mad, to see if she was going to cry, to see if it was okay to walk in. And I saw her start to get up to go upstairs because I'm assuming that's where she thought I was. So I just got the courage, I opened the door, and she walked right up to me in my face, assuming that I was going to say, haha, gotcha, or like that it was going to be some kind of joke that I was playing on her, but my face just went cold. I was pale. I was just, yeah. And she was like, well, what are you going to do? And she was very supportive. She was insanely supportive. She is just like the best mom that you could possibly have. She took me to all my appointments. She made all my appointments because I am just uncomfortable talking to real people. So my father, on the other hand, was not happy. It was very uncomfortable. It was a long 9 months to be able to be around him, just knowing that every time he looked at me, he wasn't looking at me, he was looking at my stomach. And he loves my kids now, don't get me wrong. He is completely happy. He tells all of his friends, like, I love my grandkids, they're the best, like, I'm so happy that she had them. And it's just, he's a great person and a great dad and a great grandfather, don't get me wrong. This is just at the time when it happened. So Alexis ended up being kicked out for about 6 or 7 months of my pregnancy. So it's not like I didn't see him. I saw him at school, and at the time I was the wrestling manager for our high school wrestling team, which my boyfriend happened to be on, so that was fine. Come around month 8 or 9 of my pregnancy, my dad calmed down. Alexis moved back in, and we started growing our supply of baby necessities. My mom threw me an amazing baby shower. It was just beautiful. A lot of people showed up. We got a lot of great things. It was basically what you would expect. It was not your typical teen mom, like, what am I going to do? My mom threw me out. I have no money type of situation. I had a lot of support. I have a great family. I have great friends. Everybody was just very supportive and supported my choice. So I'm pregnant all of summer before my senior year. I am, at this point, not going to be able to go to my senior year. There's just no way. My first day as a senior, I go into labor. I feel my contractions starting around 5 in the morning, and I just ignored them, but they were strong enough to where I decided I'm not going. So I took my boyfriend and my little brother, who is now starting his sophomore year of high school. I take them to the bus stop down the street, and I go home and I just lay in my bed and I just cry because I'm in labor and I'm having my baby, and I am still thinking about the fact that I'm not going to have a first day of senior year. That was what's on my mind. And looking back at it, that was just crazy. I'm like, I'm about to give birth, and I'm thinking about the first day of school. That's so not important. School is important, don't get me wrong. But then I am completely alone. Completely alone. My boyfriend is at school. My dad is at work 2 hours away. My mom is at work. She is a teacher, so she doesn't have access to her phone during school hours. And I cannot drive off base to the nearest hospital, which is 45 minutes away. So I drive to our clinic that is on base. I park my car in a place where I was not allowed to park my car. I booked it inside. I go to the desk and I'm like, I need to see my doctor. I have to make sure that I'm in labor. Like, is this false labor? Is this what's happening? And I should have known that it wasn't, because I was a day away from my due date. So my doctor comes out and he holds my stomach and he feels my contractions. And he's like, sweetie, you're in labor. You need to go. We'll get you an ambulance. Like, we'll take care of everything. And my mom's friend, who also works at the clinic, comes out and she sits with me and she's like, you know what? No, cancel the ambulance. I'm going to take you. She was so sweet. She booked it to the hospital. She was there the entire time. She missed an important meeting that she had to be, and I knew she was going to get in trouble for it, and she just did not care. She was so just genuinely nice, and I let her stay in the room with me while I had my daughter. I was like, you got me here. You're the reason I'm not having my baby in my bathroom or my bedroom. You are the reason I am here. You can stay. So finally, I get a hold of all my family. Everybody meets me at the hospital. It's about 5 o'clock at this point, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. And we are getting closer. I'm about 8 centimeters dilated at this point. It's still a while longer. I fell asleep pretty much my entire labor. I had very nice drugs. Hi. I slept the entire time, and finally when I woke up, they were like, okay, 10 centimeters, you're ready, let's go, let's do this. And I was like, at this point in time, like, you're no longer scared, you're just, I pushed for about an hour and a half, and at 8:25 p.m. Lillian Nicole was born. and it was just unbelievable. It wasn't the moment that you would expect. I didn't cry. I didn't feel overwhelmed with emotions. I was just happy and amazed that I was able to create this tiny little person who is without a doubt my best friend. She is just amazing. She just did everything that she was supposed to. She's just so smart. And she's the best daughter that you could want. She really is. And so, fast forward about a week or two after having her, I'm adjusting well. I'm not struggling as much as I thought I would. I was breastfeeding, and I continued to breastfeed until she turned 2. I was very determined to make this work and to make it easier on my parents because I did not have a job, and they supported my daughter for the first year or 2 of her life, and I am so grateful for that. And I just knew that formula was not an option because I'm not making them do any more expenses than they need to. She's my responsibility, and I am so grateful for everything that they did. So I am out of school now for 5 months. I'm doing online schooling. I'm doing amazing. I'm acing all my classes. Doing super well. And then it comes time to go back. And now comes time where my husband has to make a decision. Does he